Okay. Barry, I guess we'll just jump right into it. What brought you all the way from the UK eventually to Cabo?
Oh, that's a very long story. At the grand age of 56, when I was 14 years old, my family emigrated. My whole family was moving from England to Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So we moved to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And then I filtered out west, as people do.
Mm-hmm. And then Los Angeles, and then how'd you get from LA to Cabo?
It was LA, and then it was back to Miami because I missed it too much. And then it was from there, it was actually Dubai. I lived between Dubai and Malaysia for 2 years. I was designing hotels. And when I came back to live in the States in 2010, I just had to be in Malibu. So I was in Malibu for another 12 years. And then during COVID, that was when we went to Cabo for the first time. And wow.
How long, like when you went to Cabo, how long did it take you to be like, okay, like this is a place we could stay a long time?
Well, the first 2 days it was right when Nobu opened. So but Nobu, it's like you have to get through a toilet bowl to get to it. It's just, there's no other way of, it's like that part of Cabo is just like the worst part of Tijuana. And we were like, I was like, why is everyone saying that Cabo is so amazing? Because it was freezing cold. We went there March the 6th for my birthday. And I was like, it was cold. Anyway, I had a friend in Palmilla. Come, let's go for lunch. And as soon as I got on that highway and started driving, and you see the red rock and the turquoise water, and you get to Palmia, and it's like
the palm trees.
Oh, the air is fragrance, the sky is blue, and you can smell it smells like billionaire, and it's just gorgeous.
Do you think Palmia is your favorite part of Cabo? Like if you had to rank your favorite locations in Cabo, how would you rank them?
Well, I have to be very careful because the more people that know about my favorite places, the more people come. But Palmia is definitely it's a refined, understated luxury, and it's been there. It was one of the first hotels before it was the one and only in 1952. And because it is an area of stunning, outstanding beauty, and because of the way the Palmia is, it creates a bay. For those of you who haven't been there, there's a mountain that just sticks out. And it sticks out enough to make this whole area be safe and swimmable. Because in Cabo, there's a problem with rip currents. Because obviously you're at the bottom of this peninsula. So it's an area
like jetty of peninsula.
And what that does is the water is a little bit warmer and it's completely safe to swim, and it's just gorgeous.
This episode is brought to you by Charter Flight Support, the only coverage in private aviation that protects you when an aircraft mechanical issue stops your aircraft from flying. CFS not only provides financial support if the replacement aircraft costs more, they also help locate and book quality backup aircraft fast. Learn more at charterflightsupport.com, and don't forget to sign up for their newsletter, The Fix, for real-time insights on private jet trends, aircraft types, and rates. This episode is brought to you by Video Valet. If you care about having the best in-flight experience on your private flights, Video Valet offers up to 1.2 million movies, shows, magazines, and newspapers, all available on board without the need of expensive Wi-Fi or hardware. Eric and his team at Video Valet deliver fully customized iPads to ensure that your preferences are met on every single flight. Whether providing my kids with their favorite shows or allowing me and my wife to catch up on breaking news, I personally could never travel without it again. Video Valet is offering a special promotion to Ironbird Podcast listeners. Mention Ironbird, and Video Valet will add one free fully personalized iPad at no additional cost. Now, to the Ironbird Podcast. Any other beaches that you love? Like Palmia is obviously the one. Is there any one that you tend to find yourself, hey, let's go to this one or go to this one?
We go to El Ganzo, which is in Playita, which is where those of you who like to go to raves, there's that fabulous dream place which is on the beach, and you can either get to it via land, but I always take people to the hotel, the Playa El Ganzo, because that way you pay, I think it's $35 for the day, and you just go across on this little pontoon boat that you go across, and there's these multi-million-dollar yachts, and you're just in La La Land. It's fabulous.
Why do you think Cabo has become I like to call it the Aspen of Mexico, but why do you think it's become this luxury travel home and travel destination?
It is the 51st state. It is Mexico, and it is, we have to quite often, my husband will say to me, like, we're not in Kansas anymore. You're not in America, because and it feels insulated. It's very insulated from the rest of the world.
And everyone, 90% of people speak English. You forget sometimes that,
Yeah,
not
but it's
everyone
not
speaks English.
because of
right?
geographically where it's located. It's located at the end of a 1,000-mile peninsula.
Yeah.
The only way to get anywhere is really by plane. You can drive; it takes 3 days, but it's completely disconnected from the rest of Mexico. They call it mainland. Like mainland Mexico it's 250 miles across. So you can drive 2 hours north to La Paz, and then you can take a ferry, which takes about 10 hours to get to mainland, up by Durango, like north of Puerto Vallarta. But it's very, very discombobulated. So it's very isolated. It has a feeling of Hawaii because of that feeling of isolation. And it's constant movement. Like where we live by Palmilla is like the planes are coming and going, and it's just like South Beach. Every minute there's that plane coming in. And we used to play the game in Miami of like, oh, Air France, all the French are coming in, KLM. But we see these planes and obviously see the private jets come in. And it's exciting because there's constant movement. People are coming and going.
For someone that's never been to Cabo, you mentioned it's almost like Hawaii. Like, what do you think is the vibe of Cabo? And I know there's almost 3 different kind of vibes to each location, right?
It's like in life. It's what you make out of it, and it's also what you're going there for. What you're going there to escape, what you're going there to dream of, to become. If you are going there to play golf, you will have the best time. If you are going there to be on the ocean and to go fishing and scuba diving and snorkeling, it will be the most. So it really it really is tailored to whatever you want. There's a lot of people who go there for weddings.
Yep.
It's huge tourism. There's also like hen parties, like when women, what do they call it in America? Bachelorettes. Sorry, I've only been in America for 40 years. I still call it a hen party and a stag party. Like, so those do go on, definitely. And there is the divide. There is Cabo San Lucas and there is San Jose del Cabo, which I know we'll talk about more. Yeah. But it's the tale of 2 cities, and they're 2 quite different cities.
When did you realize, like, how long did it take you to realize, like, Cabo is this place not only where is a luxurious place to live, but I can also build a business here because there's a need?
Oh, the first day. I mean, the first day in Palmia, my friend who lives there, she was like, well, and she has this gorgeous $8 million house on the beach. I'm like, Candace, you've met Candace. She said, I need pots for outside. I need new furniture. She goes, there's nothing here. And she literally took me to what was available. And I quickly realized that, and then I see all the houses being made, and there's so many houses being built. There's so much construction. And you're very aware of it when you land, because when you land, you've just finished flying for 2 hours over a massive piece of land. And then as you're landing, there's this tiny little thin strip of about, of civilization, basically, right? Yeah. And that civilization is made up of local people and very, very, very wealthy people from the States and from Canada.
Yeah, every time I visit Cabo, I'm like, there's still, I know there's a lot of construction, but there's still so much opportunity in the land. And it's, like you said, it's, if you look at it from a map, it's like the teeny little speck at the tip of the peninsula. And you still have all this great beachfront going up in each direction. And yeah, there's some like larger pockets like Todos Santos and East Cape, but for the majority of it's not developed area.
Totally undeveloped.
Yeah.
And it's so funny, as much as it's been developed, it hasn't. So if you're looking at Cabo San Lucas like a pregnancy, I used to always do this with South Beach, because each decade it was different, because I saw the resurgence of South Beach from nothing in the 80s till what it is today. But Cabo's not even halfway through its first trimester, which is really unbelievable. I mean, it is becoming a big city, but it's having problems because it doesn't have any money for projects like such as roads and services, and there's no middle class. So people like me, we're in the service industry. I mean, we're in the middle, and we're definitely in the middle because I'm not a billionaire and I'm not lower class, and it's I'm just a normal person, which is I think one of the reasons why people like us, because we're just normal. There's no airs and pretenses about me.
So what does that mean? Like how do you think Cabo scales? Like how do they get the road development? How do they get the water.
It feels like they just
sanitation.
scratch and beg till something gets done. You know, I mean, it really is. I mean, there's a lot of the locals that don't have when it rains. Which, by the way, it rains 11 days a year on average. I think last year it rained 9. A lot of where the locals live, they're not roads. They're it's just dirt.
Yeah,
it's dirt. So when it rains, it's a problem with people getting work everywhere. So it's definitely the haves. It's the haves and the have-nots for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. Talking luxury, what are the top neighborhoods in Cabo? Are you picking up any of that? Yeah, how loud is it?
Very.
Yeah.
Can you ask them not to? I think they're
You want to just
banging.
pop out to see if you can find Savannah out there. See if she can help us. Or is that the roof or is that?
I'm worried it's like the trash bins or something.
It feels like it's right up there.
Yeah, it's
Right
definitely
right
above
there.
us. We'll see if Savannah can kick some money into gear.
Kick some butt.
See if they can give us another 30 minutes, 45 minutes.
I feel like it would be nice to have. It would be nice to have, like because I'm thinking television. I would love to have like things show on the screen when we're talking.
The
but-
B-roll.
Yeah, we need B-roll.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
That's what my virtual assistant in the Philippines does, the B-roll.
Yeah.
When she does all the clips. She does them all for my aviation podcast.
Really?
She does a great job. I think I pay her $8 an hour for it. I know.
Well, we're going to the Philippines. We can say hello to her.
I know.
And
Sabrina.
yeah, and actually, it's right where we stay in. It's called BGC. That's where all of the Manufacturer Global City BGC is where all of the all those big skyscrapers. It's all call centers.
Really?
We have a
They're
friend.
fantastic.
We have a friend who actually owns a condo in Anthony in Cabo as well, but he has 400-person call center. So rich, I can't even tell you.
Like someone with a hose up there just going like,
Really?
yeah.
So you were like, hey.
I asked her to keep
Yeah.
it down.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll dive into the luxury real estate in Cabo. And what do you see as, you don't have to rank them, but for anyone that wants to look into buying luxury real estate in Cabo, what are the neighborhoods that they have to look at? And does each neighborhood have its own kind of feel to it?
Yeah, so each neighborhood definitely has its own kind of feel and vibe. Starting up on the north end of San Jose del Cabo, which is right where the airport is and where we live. Fundadores, which is beautiful. It's a golf course that is actually it's public and private. There is where the Ritz-Carlton is and where there's
I
a
just
Marriott.
stayed there for my 40th. It was great.
It's absolutely beautiful. And it's kind of like out in the country because I would say it's only about 15 minutes from downtown San Jose.
Yeah.
But what it gives you gorgeous views. It gives you amazing houses. The houses are all, I don't think there's anything less than 5,000 square feet, usually 6,000 to 10,000 square feet. The views are amazing. You can get everywhere on your golf cart there. Great golf. And then coming back down from there, you have Querencia. Querencia is a world unto its own. $250,000 buy-in plus I think $40,000 a month a year for for running your house there, and it has
How many golf courses are in Querencia? Do they just have one main one?
for someone who sells real estate there as well, I should know, but I'm just not. I know it's an amazing golf course.
I think they have like 3 9-9s, I think.
Well, people who live in Palmia, actually, there are people in Palmia who have the Querencia golf membership.
Got it.
And it's also because the facilities there, like the spa, the swimming pools, the kids, it has so much going on there. It's like its own little city.
Did they
Querencia-
just build next to the Cabo Surf a beach?
So they just built Querencia Beach Club,
Yeah.
and what that is it's a beach club, but it's attached to 3 luxury buildings. The cheapest apartment in there now is 5.3.
Wow.
They're big 3-bedroom units, and they go all the way up to $10.5 million. And that's they knocked 2 together. So there's 3 towers, A, B, and C, and C is right up against Palmia. It literally is right up against the north part of Palmia. So it's quite nice. They are nice. And there's 2 restaurants in there on the beach, which are amazing.
Yeah.
And for something as chaotic as it should be, it doesn't seem chaotic there.
Yeah.
It seems very tranquil.
Yeah, I was staying at the Cabo Surf Hotel when
Yes,
they were building
right there.
it. So and it was they had the pool open. They didn't have all the apartments done, but That's another cool. I like the Cabo Surf Hotel. It's a kind of cool little.
That was the first time we went. On our first Friday night, we went dinner there, and it was it's a blast from the past.
Yeah,
And it feels
yeah.
like you're miles away from everything.
I know. And then I think we went and had dinner at the one and only Palmia, and my wife was like, "Oh, like, why can we stay here next time?"
Well, yeah, you can. $2,800 later, right?
All right, so we've got Fundadores, and then Querencia,
And then adjacent to Querencia is Palmilla.
Yeah.
So Palmilla has 9 different. There's the master condo association, and then you have 9 separate parts within that. You have the most exclusive one, I would say, would be Villas del Mar.
Yeah.
Villas del Mar stretches along the beach. It's also wraps around the hill, and then there's Espiritu that goes to the side of it. That's really amazing. And now they're building. Michael Dell was one of the original people from Dell Computers who invested there. Oddly enough, we have some friends who have the house next door to his on top of the hill. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
But he just sold about 5 years ago. He had 90 acres at the back of Palmilla, which is now Palmilla Estates. Palmilla Hills. It's incredible.
Yeah.
We've just got actually people from LA who bought a house there, and that's a 9-hole golf course.
Yeah.
Really nice views of the ocean. It's back. It's very similar to Malibu. Like if Malibu could have better weather.
But since it's on the back side of the hill, does it have kind of like peripheral ocean views?
It depends where you are because there's two mountains that are there. So half of it has amazing views of the ocean, but the half that doesn't. You can't knock the mountain view because the Sierra Lagunas, which is that mountain range in the background, it's gorgeous. And there's deer. Like every time you go up there, there's deer, you see little foxes, I mean, and quail. Like it's definitely it's a gorgeous, and then it has this smell. There's these trees. It's not mesquite trees. That I forget the name of it, but there's a smell that's a really, really nice, almost like a cedar aroma. And it's more prevalent in the morning and at night, but it's very nice being up there. It's very relaxing. Yeah. And then anyway, so that's Palmilla. And then moving down, you would have Chileno is like
Discovery Land properties.
It's Hollywood. And you also have Maravilla and the Montage, which are both there. Very, it's just very high glam, very, very American, very high glam. Lots of Texas, lots of Hollywood, lots of celebrities.
And those with Chileno, you get access to it has some hotel.
Well,
access,
there's
right?
the auberge, which is l'auberge, which is right there, which is great, and you've got those 2 incredible.
So you've got kind of the auberge restaurants along with, and then the same thing with the Montage, right? Montage has some homes and condos, really mostly condos, right?
Mainly condos, mainly condos, and then next to Montage it goes to Maravilla, which is Maravilla is the houses on the beach in Maravilla are massive. I mean, they are $50 and $60 million homes.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot to make this one gag. It's gag.
Really?
I mean, outside one of them, this couple from Chicago, I couldn't believe there was a 3-story, very famous sculpturist, like a huge piece of chrome.
Really?
It was like, not like the AIDS ribbon, but like something like that.
Yeah.
I was shocked. It was just, and that was in front of the house. And it set the tone for this huge, and they're 20,000 square feet. Very, very large and very, very private. You've got to go through two gates to get there.
Yeah.
So the privacy and the seclusion in these areas are really second to none. And also the staff, which, in all of these developments, they have the most amazing staff. So you've got cleaners, you've got chefs, you've got the landscapers, and you definitely have this very luxurious privileged life going on.
Yeah. What are some of the trends you're seeing in the Cabo real estate? Are you seeing, more people moving like from one location to another, or more construction in one location versus the other?
Well, we're seeing people spending more time there with what's going on politically. A lot of people are spending more time in Cabo because if you've got the home, you might as well use it. So
I'm seeing the same thing with more people flying down. I've seen more June requests this year than like there used to be the few people that would go in June, I'd be like, these are the crazy ones. Now I'm seeing like multiple people, a lot of requests now, all the way up through June, which is
Well, the
very
truth of the matter
unlikely.
is when you have a second home or a third home, you think about it. Like there was a while I was living between LA and Miami, and I'm not a big proponent of LA weather because I like it hot. Like I don't like it cold like it is outside today, and it's the end of April, right? Like I'm ready. We're ready for like sun, right?
Cool. Yeah, it's 65, I guess.
Exactly, but people, I'm not knocking LA because I love LA, obviously, and I love California.
Do you like it hot?
I don't like to feel cold all the time because it's nice to feel a bit of the changes. But I remember being in LA and being cold in February, and you're thinking of the apartment in Miami, like oh my, you go to bed at night and you think about that. So I think from a lot of my clients tell me that that's what they think of. They're at home in Dallas or they're at home in San Francisco or in Colorado, and then they're thinking about this gorgeous house that's sitting empty. And I think that people want to use it more, and especially people, if you're in the active lifestyle, most people do golf. There, a lot of people do. So, I mean, how amazing to just roll out of bed into the golf cart and you don't have to worry about the weather. It's not going to be, it's just not going to be bad weather.
Rain or play. No. What are the kinds of properties? Are you seeing people ask for different types of properties now than maybe they did?
Excuse me.
4 or 5 years ago?
Well, I've only been there for the past 4.5 years, but what's happening now is the lower end, and when I say the lower end, really anything under $1.5 million is struggling. And anything under $1 million and under $500,000 is struggling big time because that's normal people. And when we say normal people, you think about the average person
Not the 1%, not the top.
No, but people who are still like, and listen, most people do not get mortgages there. It's all cash. So the average American doesn't have $700,000 sitting in the bank. So even though that might be poor compared to, billionaire, we're living in a world where it's people who are 50, I'm 57. So there's a lot of people who are in their late 40s and early 50s who are retiring because if it's stupid things. Like I met this person who worked for AT&T since they were 18 and retiring at 52 with this huge 401k and they got $1 million to spend on it. But that's the norm there because that's what's happening. People want to go and they want to readjust there. So we're seeing a lot less. There's a terrible glut in the market of all of these properties because they're not moving because what's happening, but obviously people have lost their 401k and people are worried about their entitlements or whatever you want, so but however, anything over $2 million, who died? What's that?
It's like, boom,
we're still going to Neiman's later, aren't we? Right.
Really?
I mean, it's not affected. So we've had a really strong first quarter. 3 million, 5 million, 7 million. It's not affected at all. It's
how long are those homes
ahead.
staying on the market?
The average home 4 years ago, the average home in Cabo, the houses they would always say it would take up to a year because of the season, because people would come, and if you missed the season, that 6-month season, then so they would always say it would be 8 to 12 months to sell a house, even a year and a half. Now it's more like 6 to 8 months.
Okay. How do you compare when people ask you about a lot of these luxury hotels that are either built or now there's a few more being built? A lot of these are now turning to also selling homes and condos. Do you see that as an advantage, or like how do you when clients ask you like, all right, well, all these the Ritz-Carlton is building now and they're offering condos versus maybe having a home at a golf course like Maravilla or in Del Mar and Palmia. What are people asking you?
Well, it's all about the level of service. And as you know, the difference between a 3-star hotel and a 4-star hotel, the main difference between a 4-star and a 5-star is service. It's the level of service. It's the fact that you don't have to go you only have to just barely turn your head and someone will come and get you what you need. And it's a rarefied lifestyle. And we are living in White Lotus. I mean, it is an episode of White Lotus every single day. I'm very grateful for it, but it's not reality for most of the world. But it is reality in Cabo. It is definitely reality. And to answer your question, to live in a branded residence, like the people who live in, what's it called, where the Why are we both having brain
Well,
freezes?
if we go down the hotels, that'll Las Ventanas.
Las Ventanas, yes.
Yeah.
Brittany's 40th birthday, which
Yeah.
we were there for, of course. Fireworks every night for 3 nights. And actually, that's actually funny, talking about status symbols. So basically, you can tell by the amount of time a firework display happens how much money they have. So basically, 2 minutes is $3,000. 5 minutes is $7,000. If they go on for 15 or 20 minutes with the fireworks, they're spending 50, 60 grand on fireworks. And when Britney Spears, we were living right next door at Casa del Mar, the first 6 months we were there, and Britney Spears' 40th birthday party, it was every night for half an hour, like 3 nights. And it was at the point where Alex was like, my husband loves the fireworks. I'm like, I don't even want to see it. It's 10:30 at night. It's like, I don't want to see it anymore.
The first night was probably great. You're like, oh, nice.
It was amazing.
The second night, you're like, huh.
Yeah. So the branded residences, because that's St. Regis.
Yeah.
So the St. Regis, but now also it comes at a price. I mean, some of the most expensive condo fees are when it's managed by a hotel, and they will put it in the hotel program, but they take like 30 or 40%.
Yeah.
So basically, it just offsets some of your and those condos that are at St. Regis are massive. I mean, we're talking 4,000 square feet.
Where's
3
the St.
bedroom.
Regis location?
It's just south. It's so if you know after Palmia, it's the H Hospital on that corridor, and then there's the massive Hilton Hotel, and after that Hilton Hotel is Las Ventanas.
Okay.
It's the St. Regis. It's Las Ventanas.
Yeah.
That's what it's called, Las Ventanas. And there are villas on the beach. But that you can't go swimming on that. Like you can't go near. You can't even go near the water. It's quite dangerous. But you buy the pool and you've got 5-star service and it's gorgeous.
Yeah. So you get it's a service but higher cost. That
Yeah, and that's what a
management fee,
what a branded residence. So I'm actually working on we have a 52 home sites that we're selling in Laraba, and it's called the Residences of Laraba, and it's adjacent to Costa Palmas and adjacent to the Four Seasons and the Aman.
Yeah.
And one of the most amazing things is that the lots that we're selling are right on the beach, $3.5 million, and right off the beach is $1.5 to $2.5 million, and you can literally walk to the marina and walk into Costa Palmas where their lots are going for 10 and 12 million on the beach.
That's technically they call that the East Cape, right? So
that's the East Cape, and it's the north part of the East Cape.
What's like the vibe of the East Cape?
Desolate.
Yeah.
Middle of nowhere. Want to get away and just really, really relax.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had friends who've got stayed to that Four Seasons from LA, and they're like, "Oh my God, get me!" After the third night, they're like, "Get me out of here."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you do go there
to kind of unplug completely.
Yeah, and then you go there with family, and you go there with a group, and then it's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because when you can go there for 2 weeks, it's amazing because you have fabulous. The cell phone works. You've got Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You're connected, and as long as you go there with a good group of people, or family, or someone you want to be there, you're fine. You're actually fine.
But going there by yourself, or maybe with your significant other that you might get old. It might, you might get tired of talking to after.
Well,
a week.
yeah, and then now talking about transportation, now you've seen the helipad. They're putting in a new helipad at the SJD at the airport, and that is specifically going to aid in going to the East Cape because wherever you're flying in from, nobody wants to sit in a car for an hour and a half. Nobody.
Yeah. And that's what it'll take you flying into San Jose and getting up to the East Cape.
It'll go from the airport to the East Cape. Well, it'll go wherever you want.
But the drive time up to the East Cape is an hour and a half.
And now, from the airport, it's an hour and maybe an hour and 10 minutes.
What's that drive like?
To Laraba, dead cows on the side of the road that have been there for so long. You watch them each time you go by them. They slowly shrink to what you think is a rug. The interior designer in me, you think it's a rug, but it's a cow.
That's just been decomposing.
It's actually it's quite harrowing.
Yeah,
it is definitely. I mean, the road it's very modern and it's very new, but it's very windy, and it is beautiful terrain. But it's not sitting there for an hour like driving, to Lake Tahoe on the 85.
Yeah, but that's why you don't drive it at night either, right?
No one drives at night, and in the wintertime, we're out of there by 3:00 and we're home for 4. That kind of thing. But you just know that going through, and I've really realized now I've been there for 4.5 years. When we drive to the East Cape, you are not in a rush. You are looking at everything. I'm looking at the blades of grass. I'm looking at the dead cows. I'm looking at everything, and I'm enjoying the drive. And the second you get into that Mexican mentality of, I'm having a good time, and I'm not in a rush.
It's funny because anytime I land and get in my rental car, I'm speeding fast to try and get from the airport, from that Hertz back to my hotel. And it probably should be like, hey, let me just relax and enjoy it. But I tend to like get on the private highway, the toll highway, and I'm just like, how fast can I get back?
Well, it's very difficult because those of us who are American or European, I mean, I wake up in the ground in the morning. I wake up with my feet like that before I hit the ground, and it's difficult to do that there. Like and also I'm in business there. I have 2 businesses. I sell real estate. We have a very successful design business, and we have a retail shop. Yeah. So we are there to work. And we serve everyone. We're in the service industry, and one of the most amazing things about that you learn when you're in the St. Regis every day and you're living this. Everything is with a smile, you know. Mm-hmm. The one and only.
Yeah, I love that.
And go like that.
I love that. I end up doing it back to them after a while.
It's lovely, but really, I always, every time I speak to my clients, I always pause and put a smile on, because people, when you're smiling on the phone, they know it.
Yeah, they can.
So I always stop what I'm doing and take a deep breath before I speak to people.
For the high net worth traveler or real estate investor, what do you think Cabo offers that maybe some other locations don't?
Privacy and seclusion. Privacy is very, very, very important to high net worth individuals. It's the most important thing, privacy and seclusion. Also, having the ability to be waited on hand and foot is important. You want the house to be immaculate. You want the food to be delicious. You want access to fabulous golf. You want access to being on a yacht. You want everything to just be very effortlessly and a touch away of doing it. And that's what Cabo's got. I mean, it's got you. It's got you.
Yeah. And Mexico used to be a cost kind of play, and it's not there. I think it's gotten to more service. It's now a high-end service, almost like what Vegas is, right? A little different way, but from a service standpoint, it's like everything you need. The people that work there do a fantastic job. The food, I think, is one thing that I don't think a lot of people really talk about, but the food's fantastic. I mean, the amount of restaurants, the chefs that are going there, and the food is, I almost never have a bad meal. And from the high end to even the medium and lower end, you can get everything at like really delicious food. And anywhere I've been to, I've had a couple bad meals, but even at, you can go to the local taco shop, which is fantastic, or you can go into the
Lateral.
Yeah. Or you can go, I forget which one I went to before, but Tacos Gus is always good. I went to another one, was great. And then also another great thing, I think, for at least for people on the West Coast, is the time it takes there. So, from California getting to Miami, it's very different than getting down to Cabo. I mean, it's 5 hours versus 2 hours, right?
Yeah. And consequently, everyone, especially in the private jet industry, obviously, the more close to 3 hours you get and over, the more expensive it is with the jet fuel, and the bigger the jet you need to fly, obviously. So one of the reasons why there's so many birds on the ground, when you get to SJD, I mean, we in the flight that I just took, there was, I haven't even gone back and counted, but there was like 65 planes there. Yeah. I mean, it is like, and it wasn't full. Yeah. It wasn't full. I think they can have 100. And it's from everywhere that can fly within a 2 to 2.5 hours. So you've got this massive amount of Colorado. Yeah. You've got everyone from Texas, all over Texas. And then you've got people from Oregon, and then you've got all of our Canadians. Yeah. WestJet brings them down, and you still get Canadians from Toronto, but mainly from Vancouver and from Edmonton and Calgary. Yeah. Lots of people. And of course the Aspen, the people who developed Querencia, the McCloskeys, they're from Denver. So,
oh, really?
Oh yeah. So it's and it's an 1,800 acre development, which is massive. And they're just popping out these $5 million to $8 million houses. They are popping them out like.
But they're still like selling pretty quickly though, right?
Yes, it has slowed a bit, but they're still selling.
Yeah, and that was one of the big things from the travel side, that over 15 years of doing travel to Cabo, and one of the reasons we launched the Jet to Cabo service is the inefficiencies. So when we look at Cabo travel and a lot of Mexico, people that are flying the airplanes there, one, they don't leave airplanes there a lot of the time. So a lot of the time they're going to drop you and come back because The pilots don't want to stay there. They don't want to leave it there. Sometimes it gets expensive. And another big issue is there's not a great connecting airport in Mexico. So when you're traveling around the U.S., if they drop you in Scottsdale, they can then just pop over to New Mexico or pop over to another quick location. In Cabo, and especially kind of where it's located with the peninsula, there's really no location that it can go to. So quite often it's going right back to Houston or Dallas or right back to Oakland or Scottsdale. And what doesn't happen, theoretically, you think, well, why don't they just get another person to take that flight going in the opposite direction? That would be the easy question, right? But the problem is you've got all these different companies. So every airplane you saw is probably operated by a different company, and they don't talk to this other company.
I know,
So it's like all these different companies not talking to each other. If they had a system that actually aggregated all the demand, or Barry, you're going down to Cabo on Monday, I'm leaving Cabo on Tuesday. If we use the same system, we could then utilize that same airplane at 40, 50%
AI
less.
technology is here. So
Yep.
Is that something you're working on?
Yeah, it really is. It's there's like two big pieces. The first one's a demand aggregator.
Mm-hmm.
So we're aggregating all the demand into one single location. Right now we pick Cabo, but we're about to launch Hawaii, Aspen, and a few others after that. So it aggregates all the demand into one single location and then able to match people in a smart scheduling system. You're going on Monday, I'm leaving on Tuesday. It matches us. We then utilize the same airplane and drive down the cost. And that's what really has gotten to be more and more efficient, where normally people are paying this either full round trip cost to go one way or an inflated jet card rate. So what this system does is it links us two together. Now we're technically not sharing the airplane. You're taking it down, I'm taking it back the next way. And that reduces the cost, which I think is for Cabo, if an average Cabo cost is $25,000, reducing that cost from 25 to, 16 or 15, that's a big difference.
Well, yeah, and I think a lot of times one thing we haven't spoken about is the word legacy.
Yeah.
And the word legacy, especially for people with wealth. But these properties are called legacy properties. What is a legacy property, Barry?
Yeah.
A legacy property is something that is for the entire family.
Yeah.
And these legacy properties, a lot of people in Palmia, because it's been there for a while, people have had the house for 20 years.
Yeah.
15 years. And the children have grown up in that house. And now what you're seeing is the question earlier, like what is changing? The children are now having children.
Yeah.
So it's actually, my client was just calling me right now before this. They have a gorgeous two-bedroom condo in Palmia, and they've got two kids who've now had children.
Yeah.
And it's impossible to operate out of a two-bedroom condo, so they have to buy now. So they have to buy something with 4 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms. And then what we're finding is that all of these clubs are now, it's not just a country club with tennis courts and a golf. Now you have to have all the amenities for the kids and the grandkids. Mm-hmm. So Querencia is really good at this. They've got a movie theater. They've got a water theme park that's just gone in, which is to die for. They've got hangout places for the kids to go.
Yeah,
they've
club,
got
kids
amazing.
clubs.
Oh my God, they've got the most amazing daycare.
Yeah.
Which is right, and they put it. Where do they put it? Right next to the spa.
Yeah.
It's great. Mommy goes to have some things done, and the kids right. So it's very, very, very well thought out. Really well thought out. They're and they've got the money to do this.
Yeah. You've experienced, a lot of commercial flying. You've even had a fun experience that got you on the news of commercial flying, right?
Yeah.
What do you think from your perspective is that big difference of, especially let's just say to Cabo, where you have to do customs? Like, what was your experience like coming back into the US and doing private customs versus what it's like?
Well, having someone come onto the plane, the customs officer come onto the plane and look at your passport is very different than walking through. But to be honest with you, global day pass, we just walk off and we just walk through and go like that.
Yeah.
And you look in and you walk right through.
Yeah.
So,
what's it like coming in? Because I know for me, anytime I come in commercially, now you've got your local Mexican pass, but for people that aren't, how bad have you seen it? Because you've been in the Cabo airport.
It's not bad anymore now.
Yeah.
It's all gone. it's all eye. They've got people just look. You're looking in, so it's very quick.
How is that original? Usually, like the worst part is when you come down that
Escalator.
Like, what's that? What's the worst you've ever seen that?
Oh God, it was. I think during COVID. I mean, it's been 4 years since I've seen it like that. It's not. It's just not like that anymore because they're processing them much quicker.
Yeah,
So
they're really upgrading that airport.
Yeah,
right?
well, they're putting a lot of money into it, but it's still taking time. You know, nothing happens quickly, but they've definitely upgraded it, and the goal is that you're not going to be able to walk down. You know, you're going to be on a jet bridge of every gate because a lot of the jets now you have to walk down the stairs.
Yeah, and get on
take a bus.
Get on the bus.
All right.
What do you think are some of the pain points of traveling to Cabo?
From the States to Cabo?
Yeah.
The pain points.
Like what's the hardest thing about getting in Cabo? Is it the drive from the airport? Is it the rental car situation? You know, what do you think is the toughest pain points? Do you have any tips or tricks that you could give somebody like, hey?
Tips or tricks? Well, first of all, people aren't aware the fact that Cabo San Lucas is two cities. It's two cities, and basically it's the crappy part, and I hate to say it, and it's the posh part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, years ago, the difference between Fort Lauderdale and Miami was like Miami's the crazy party place, and Fort Lauderdale. I mean, now it's obviously grown all together and it's different, but Cabo San Lucas just, unfortunately, it has that, even though there are nice parts of it, don't want to get beating on it, but that's where people go to get drunk and get wasted, and that's and all those bars and the spring break stuff, and that is a very small part of it, but it's still there is still that element of it that is just the tacky tourist element. So but 10 miles north, 15 miles north, it's just posh. It's much quieter. You don't have that element there, so it's nice not to be a part of that. And to me, the challenge, especially when flying commercial, and what happened to me on that plane with that crazy person, because the guy was probably, he had to have been under the influence of something, and airplanes put everyone together. Yeah. So commercially, it puts everyone together. So it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from or what's in your bank account. You're sitting next to the same person, even if you're in first class. You're sitting next to the same person. So, there is a safety and a security aspect of flying private that you don't you presumably know who you're going to be flying with on a plane. So, but we've not, aside from that time, we've never had any problem on the planes, and everyone's been very polite.
When clients come to you when they're shopping for luxury real estate, does travel come up or private travel come up? How does that, like when they talk to you about travel, what do they ever ask you about it or say?
Well, you know, we've referred people to you, obviously, and it's definitely how people travel and how people move is, you know, I mean, there's the loan sharks, there's the people who come with the wife, there's the people who come with the group, people that have these legacy properties. It's like, okay, mom and dad are coming down for 3 months and we'll be here. Yeah. And then people, there's the feeders that come, and around the holidays, people come, people go. So I'm noticing that people travel, and then there's groups, and there's parts of them that come in and out, and it's a constant movement. It's weird. It's just it's constant movement. No one's coming just for one set time. Yeah. And then people, it's. Like I come to LA when I need to go to Trader Joe's and need to go see the dentist. It sounds crazy. Trader Joe's and CVS we don't have, so all of a sudden it becomes a religious experience if you've not been to CVS for 3 months, right? Which is highly unlikely with me, but just the fact that you can, because in Mexico when you go into a drugstore, that you can't just have access to everything. Yeah. Everything's in little boxes like that, and it's behind the case, and it's like, it's like you're trying to buy something illegal, and it's earplugs, and you're only going to get 4 earplugs. So I'm like, I'm addicted to earplugs, so I buy the big, $15 ones that I have 3 of them, because I panic if I've not got earplugs everywhere.
One interesting thing I've seen as a trend in Cabo, and probably a lot of other luxury locations, is like the longevity and health and wellness.
Oh, it's everywhere. Part of my stem cells is mixing in my body right now as we speak, right? Longevity is everything. They've got them, they put them into Diamante. They put it into all of these country clubs are having the longevity clinics, and and stem cell research and STEM aid. Also the bariatric chamber, because you know, in America we can't have, for some reason, you know, you're deemed a socialist if you want to have free medicine. But I mean, it's so wonderful to be able to. You can just walk in and have an MRI. $250. You want to go to the bariatric chamber? It's $100.
Yeah.
You want to go here? Like my mum has a problem, and it's $1,500 to go for a bariatric chamber here.
Yeah.
There, you actually buy packages.
Yeah.
So it's like it's $800 for 8 packages. You can go and breathe the oxygen and be in the bariatric chamber and feel the difference it makes to taking away the inflammation. So health and wellness is massive business there. And of course, when you've got all the money in the world, the one thing that health is wealth.
Yeah.
Right? So health is wealth. So it's no use having wealth in the bank when you can't walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
health and wellness is huge, and everybody, I don't think there's anyone I don't know who's doing the stem cells right now. And I've seen the changes in people, even in the late 50s and early 60s, the changes of of the benefits, should I say. There's no drawback to it whatsoever.
Where do you think Cabo's headed to in the next 5-10 years? What's it going to look like?
It will be a lot more built up. It will be a lot more built up. I'm hoping there'll be room for a middle class, because the middle class is everything in any society. But I can still see that it might not be.
Yeah.
You know, especially with what's going on in the States right now, because it takes its calling, because everyone comes down here. It's a shame that normal people who, you know, for a $500,000 2-bedroom apartment or a $600,000 house, it's a shame that right now they're being squeezed out of the market because they just don't have the money because of the uncertainty.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that in the next 5 years that uncertainty will become more certain. But as far as Cabo goes, on the high end, everything's on the high end.
What excites you the most about, you know, kind of your business being in Cabo and you know, the future of Cabo?
The most exciting thing about being there is just the fact that it's constant movement. So people are constantly coming,
growth,
and it's new people. And what happens is people are coming to see their friends and then be like, oh my God, I want one as well.
Yeah.
So it's almost like it's infectious. And it was the same reason. Listen, I lived in Malibu for 16 years and just cried about the weather all the time because I just couldn't bear that cold, damp weather.
Yeah.
And I always said, without even going to Cabo, I always said, if Malibu was 1,000 miles further south, it would be perfect.
Yeah.
And now I am there. And there's something to be said about every single day with blue skies. We're programmed as human beings to be happy. You know what I mean? It's like being in Palm Springs or Joshua Tree and then having to come back to LA into that thick gray soup. And it's like, I can't even, I was driving in yesterday and all of a sudden you're like somewhere around Ontario Airport. You're like, take the sunglasses off and you're in this grayscape for the next 2 days, right? So I think that's the Cabo state of mind of just always having constant sunshine.
That's how you know you've been in a place with incredible weather. It was when you're downplaying Los Angeles weather that, like, I feel like the rest of the world would love to have, and you're like, oh, grayscapes, like, get me back to paradise.
Well,
That's
it's
how
it's
beautiful
the way
I
it's
think
the way
Cabo is.
It's true, but it's the way that we're spoken to. I was looking at the weather last night, yesterday on KTLA. This woman, like the way they talk about it, it's going to be gray all day, and then at some point between 3 and 4 o'clock, the sun comes out
3 to 6.
and it goes to 72 degrees from 62. Like, that's not a nice day.
Yeah.
But the way it's presented, like, oh, the clouds are going to burn off and it's going to be 72 degrees for 1 hour. Like, but then the way that translates into the rest of the world, because the average temperature in LA is 72 degrees.
Yeah.
But my dad used to say, you know, the average is, you've got to be very careful with averages, because if your head is in the oven and your feet are in the freezer, on your ass on average is at a mean temperature. And that's what averages are. So you've got to be real careful with that. But Cabo is so further south. Where actually there's a really cool place to go when you drive out to the East Cape, and it's the Tropic of Capricorn, because we are south of that. So we're in the equator zone.
Yep.
So it's really weird. Even when it's 50 degrees out, or maybe 55 when it gets colder in January, February, as soon as you're outside, the sun is always really, really strong, because you are always, it's equatorial, really.
Yeah. What are the most perfect months in Cabo, and maybe what are the few months that you might want to stay away?
Usually, like as you enter into May, so from May until end of October, May to October is definitely miserably hot and humid. It alters every year. We're in our 5th year now, so we've noticed it wobbles by about 3 weeks to a month, and then the cycle of change. Like this last season, it was unbearably hot through Thanksgiving was the first time it, believe it or not, the end of November was the first time it let up.
Yeah.
Whereas the year before it let up in the end of October. Like I remember Halloween was cooler. So it varies by a month. I think it's just, by all cycles like it does. But I would say from May to October is very, very warm, and it's fine. If you're going to play golf and you're going for a week or for a few days, you want, you're okay. But for, again, we're in the middle. We're the middle folks, so it gets quite difficult to jump in the car when it's 5 million degrees and show real estate. You literally, you find yourself driving around looking to park under a tree.
Yeah.
And I quite often I'll turn the car on before I get to it, so it's nice and cold before we get in. Because if people are going to jump in the car with us, we want to be careful. But for 6 months of the year, it's fabulous. I mean, the windows are open all the time, and there's no insects. It's really weird.
Yeah.
There's
So dry.
The occasional flies.
Yeah.
Right, but in the summertime, but it's really weird. It's not like Florida at all, and even LA doesn't have that many insects, but it has less. For some reason, there's less insects in Cabo, and I'm not sure why.
If someone wants to connect with you for either to understand real estate better or maybe get some interior design or furniture help, what's the best way for someone to connect with you?
The best way is to go to houseofbarrie.com, and that has my personal phone number on it, my LA cell phone, and the LA cell phone is glued to me, so that's the best thing to do. Shoot me an email or look on Instagram, House of Barrie. Barry's with an IE. That's how it was spelt. So, I'm very good at getting back to people. And lately, because of the Instagram, more and more people are actually reaching out, and they'll say, I just saw you on Instagram. Can you tell me about this? And I'm getting questions from immigration, Mexican immigration, to buying a house or to... It's great. And I think it's nice to be in a position to share information.
To be a Cabo expert.
Well, yes. I mean, it didn't take that long.
Yeah.
It didn't take that long. But I think when you're in a place and you enjoy it, and also, every place has its trials and tribulations.
Yeah.
But I think you have to take the good and the bad with everything.
Yeah. Awesome, Barrett. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for listening, guys.